Let me ask you something. What does the AK-47 from CSGO and Black Ops 1 have in common? I would say go ahead and I'll wait, but it's a trick question. Fucking nothing other than the name. Everything about it, the look and shape, the reload animation, even the sounds were just so much better in Black Ops 1, in my personal opinion. And I got to thinking maybe there's more to this than I thought. And after some self-reflection in this idea of comparing guns in games, I found a gold mine, and I also found some absolute trash. What the fuck are you trying to do, Sledgehammer? You sound this sounds like me running away from your shitty microtransactions. But I found it within myself that the sound of a gun in a video game does a lot for me. As I look back in my many years of gaming, most likely, if I do not like the sound of a gun, I'm not going to use it. I'm going to avoid it. I'm going to stay away. And a very clear example of that is Advanced Warfare. The best guns in the game were the BAL and the ASM-1. Now, I didn't use these things because I had a girlfriend and I didn't like the sound of them. So today I wanted to talk about this very niche topic of gun sounds in video games. And I may even awaken this idea in some of you. I hope so, at least. I don't want to be the only motherfucker out here worried about this shit. So without further ado, let's look at some gun sounds. Usually when you think of the way a gun sounds, you think of how it sounds when you shoot it. And some of them are absolutely amazing. Is this what it's like to chew 5 gum? And some of them are just kind of, this is what it's like to get slapped in the face with a slice of tomato. Cold and sticky, and the restaurant you're at doesn't have a fucking bathroom, so you have to deal with a sticky face for the rest of the night. Fuck you, Rain, I have not forgiven you for that. Pushing my personal, very deep-rooted problems aside, let's talk about how hard it is to be a sound designer for a video game. Because I'm about to shit on some of these sound designers, and they can do shit that I've would never even think of doing. So let's give them a little bit of praise for a second. Sound design isn't hard because the software is hard to use. Sound design is hard because there are 0 rules when it comes to sound design. I just said that in the most complicated way possible, but it's true. And because it's a sheerly open market, you could think something sounds good when in reality, it's the ASM-1. Now, if I pull the trigger and it sounds like kittens meowing in my ears, I'm having a good time. But if my fight or flight instinct activates, I'd never want to hear it again. I'm not having a good time. So before I have to go research a ton of noises that my ears, frankly, are not gonna like, let's talk about some ones that I do like.
Whoa, what? Guys, don't be like my friend here who didn't do anything.
The plasma gun in Quake Champions. This gun sounds like... Yes! The portal gun from Portal. This thing sounds amazing. It's got that a nice little thump, a little bit of bass to it, a little bit of reverb. All in all, it matches the simplistic and futuristic sound and vibe of the rest of the game, and I think that is amazing. Job well done. The silenced Galil from Black Ops 1. This is the start of the Call of Duty weapons. Fair warning, there's going to be a lot. This thing sounds amazing. This thing sounds like the cat of my dreams running across a marble floor to greet me after a long day of work. It's pretty good. I don't know what that was. That's just what comes to mind when I think about it. AK-47 from Black Ops 1. This sound isn't necessarily amazing, but when I think gun sounds in video games, that is one of the first ones that comes to mind because it was my first gold gun in Black Ops 1. Definitely a high up there on the nostalgia tier list for me. Remington from Black Ops 2 multiplayer. This thing was terrifying. You heard this thing in the match and you were just hoping that it's on your team. The sound packs a punch. It's got a little bit of reverb to it. The only thing I think could have made it better was the Black Ops 3 style of guns sounding different inside and outside of buildings. I think if this gun had the solid like interior reverb, it would be god tier. AN-94 from Black Ops 2. The raw amount of power this thing fucking protrudes is unlike anything else in the game except for maybe the next gun. But I found myself, and this is rare, I think I found myself using this gun simply because of the sound. I wasn't necessarily a fan of the way it looked or the way the sights looked, but I think it sounded so good that I actually used it more than I would have otherwise. The DSR-50 from Black Ops 2. Some of you had to see this coming. This thing is by far the most powerful sniper I think I've heard in any video game ever. It just has such a punch, and it's loud, and it hits hard. And it matches the futuristic vibe of the rest of the game. I'm so glad they gave it to the DSR and not like the XPR, because as cool as that would sound on the XPR, a semi-automatic sniper for those of you that don't know, I don't think that it would have the same kick if it wasn't a bolt action. The EM1 from Advanced Warfare. Come on. It's a fucking laser in Call of Duty. And it sounds dope. Is there anything else that needs to be said here? The EPM3 from Advanced Warfare. Goddamn, this thing sounds dope. But goddamn, this thing sucked ass. If you have ever tried to use this gun in multiplayer, I feel for you. I tried to use it a lot. It can be decent in hardcore. Decent, maybe. But it wasn't very viable of a gun. Good thing it sounded pretty. The TAC-19 from Advanced Warfare. Come on, you know I couldn't pass up the fucking dubstep gun. This thing sounds sick. It packs a punch and sounds futuristic. And it's literally a fucking sound wave. That is what you're shooting, a sound wave. There are no pellets in this gun. It's a sound wave, and it looks cool and it sounds amazing, so it had to make the list. The Banshee from Black Ops 3. On top of being one of the coolest concepts for a shotgun in Call of Duty ever, this thing sounds really cool. It sounds like a Zap. It sounds like a kind of a beta version of the Tempest, but the Tempest is a specialist weapon, so I kind of disqualified it from this. But it sounds cool for a regular gun. The Rift E9 from Black Ops 3. Much like the Banshee, sounds very similar. I just like the sound design of Black Ops 3, and these energy weapons that they brought in are really cool. Alright, to speed this along a little bit, here are some honorable mentions. The Commando from Black Ops 1. The suppressed MP7 from Modern Warfare 3. The MSR from Modern Warfare 3. Another great sniper. All of the pistols from Black Ops 2. The Peacekeeper from Black Ops 2. Really packed a punch. The AE2 from Advanced Warfare. Sounds pretty cool. The DIY Renovator from Black Ops 3. It's a fucking staple gun.
Where did he find a staple gun?
L4 Siege from Black Ops 3. This thing sounds like thunder. Sounds sick. And the Death Machine from any Call of Duty ever. Okay, so now on to the ones that I don't like. And I'm gonna fly through these a little bit faster because there's no reason for them to be in the video other than I don't like them. And I think if a sound designer were to see this video, work off of these and what not to do, at least in the atmosphere of these games respectively. CSGO, literally everything. Everything in that game sounds so bad and stale, and it's all repetitive and not in a good way. Matter of fact, whenever I think about the sound design in that game as a whole, the one word that comes to mind is stale. Everything is stale. The announcers are mellow and boring. All the guns sound the same. The pistols are the most puny little fucking things I've ever heard. And I don't want to spend all day shitting on this game, but I think this will just about be it for it. But the sound design in that game just makes me... Fortnite. Did you think you were gonna get away from it? Absolutely not. Here's another game where I pretty much don't like everything about the sound in the entire game. But to elaborate on that a little further, I think the game sounds cool, but when I think about the sounds individually, they are all pretty lackluster. But don't get me wrong, this is definitely a case where the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. The sounds themselves are bad, but they do a good job at establishing an atmosphere. More recently, Valorant. The sound in this game somewhat disappoints me. The sound design for the abilities is so good. And then you hear the guns and you're like, what the fuck happened? Did they fall asleep? Did they just throw us together a week before the beta? But I do want to throw them a bone because while the stock noises for the guns are pretty bad, pretty stale, they did add skins to the game, and the skins change the gun noises. So say the AK or the Vandal in that game will go from this to this with the Prime skin. And I think that's pretty cool. But again, the stale sound is what I'm going off of here, and I'm not a huge fan of it. Rapid fire time, Black Ops 1, the Olympia. It's so stale and so boring. Black Ops 1, the Scorpion. Do I need to say anything? Black Ops 2, SWAT 556. Black Ops 2, the SMR. I want to say it sounds like a stapler, but the fucking actual stapler in Black Ops 3 sounds better than this. Black Ops 2, S12. Stale. What are you doing? Black Ops 2 Hammer, by far the worst sounding gun in the entire game. What are you doing? The LMGs is a class as a whole, all sound good except for that gun. Modern Warfare 3, the USAS 12, or as I like to call it, the United States ass. It sounds like I am biting into an apple. Nowhere in this game does it look like apple. Modern Warfare 3, every pistol, every one of them, even the Deagle sounds like shit. How did you manage this? So those are just some of the examples. There's obviously a lot more. I've heard a lot of noises, but I didn't want this video to have an entirely negative undertone because I like a lot more than I dislike, to be completely honest. But moving on to something that goes under the radar, but I think is equally as important as the way a gun sounds when it shoots. How a gun sounds when you reload it.
I feel like a deer in the headlights of love.
Much like shooting noises, reload noises do a lot for me when it comes to a gun. Things that come to mind. The LSAT from Black Ops 2. Unsuppressed, this thing sounds like a monster. Suppressed, it sounds like a monster but suppressed. But the reload sound. What is that at the beginning of the reload sound? Did I just pull my fucking finger out of a brain? What is this? So like before, let's start with the ones that I like and get that gross LSAT noise out of my ears. Black Ops 1, the M1911. Iconic. Every time I hear this, I think of staying up till 4 in the morning, playing Kino der Toten, trying to wash my friends and zombies, which I never could, but I can now. I am the greatest zombies player in the world. Black Ops 2, all of the pistols. I'm pointing with all my fingers, that's how serious this is. It's a cardinal sin, Treyarch, to have all your pistols make the same noise on reload. Except for the Executioner. As bad as this is, it's a good sound though. And that's all I can really ask for at that point. If they're gonna copy and paste sounds, the best you can do is at least make it sound good. And I think they've done that here. Advanced Warfare, the IMR, the EPM1, and the EM1. All of these guns sound similar, but they sound dope. Mixed with the really cool visuals with something like the EM1 where the little microwave or whatever opens up and you can see the gears spinning and slowing down inside. It's a really cool sound to go with the cool visual. Black Ops 3, the Basilisk. I don't know what the fuck I just heard, to be completely honest with you. That's some robot porn if I've ever seen it. What? Black Ops 3, the Rifty 9 and Banshee. I'm in Star Wars. Fuck with me. CSGO. You fucking thought. So that was it for the ones I like, because in terms of reload sounds, there aren't a lot that stand out. So naturally, let's go to the ones that I dislike. And let's start with Black Ops 1. Now, Black Ops 1 has an issue. Every single class of gun has the same reload sound amongst all its weapons. So every AR sounds the same when you reload. Every SMG sounds the same when you reload. Like I said earlier, this is a cardinal sin. But the Black Ops 2 pistols got a pass because I think it sounded good. And as bad and uninspired as that sounds, let me show you the worst thing since sliced bread. Listen to all these different reloads and tell me what they all have in common. Why does it sound like I'm a 14-year-old girl with bangles on her wrist? What is that noise in the background they decided to add? Because that noise doesn't even play when you're running around the map. What is that? So you're telling me my dude is reloading his gun and he's what? Jangling his balls around? What is this noise? It is by far, in my opinion of course, the biggest flaw in the Black Ops 1 multiplayer. Black Ops 2. You'd think Treyarch would learn their lesson, but nope. Every class has the same reload sound with the exception of the snipers. What are you doing? I hope they kick it for Black Ops 3. Black Ops 3. They didn't. And last but not least, CSGO. Okay, in all seriousness, all of these game devs have been able to do things that I wouldn't even dream in my life. And that goes for the good games and CSGO. But thanks for watching. I gotta go. And hey, if you see a group of neckbeards who look like they play video games and they're screaming about something called Dust 2 being the best map ever created, tell them I wasn't here, okay? I never existed. You don't even know who I am. You never even listened to me talk, okay? They've been after me for like 3 weeks since I started shitting on CSGO and stuff. So I gotta go. Thank you for watching. I will be back next week with some other bullshit that you can watch, okay? Bye.
Thing I could do just to make you feel alright. Oh, I just had to